So I'm in a meeting last week and someone asked me, "How are you?" Without thinking, I said, "Busy." Like it was a badge and honor, like it proved I mattered. Then I sat there for a second. Why did I say that? Was I actually busy? Or was I just overcommitted? Because there's a difference, and once you see the difference, you can't unsee it. Busyness is not a badge, it's a symptom. Here's what that means and why it changes everything.
Welcome to the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast, a podcast about becoming 1% better every day. And now your host, yours truly, Clarence Stowers.
Hey, and welcome back to the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast. And I am your host, yours truly. Today, we're talking about the lie we've all believed. That busy means we're important. That busy means we're productive. That being busy is just how life is. None of that is true. Busy is not a badge. It's a symptom of overcommitment. And if you don't fix the overcommitment, you'll spend your whole life exhausted and wondering why nothing you do feels like enough. Here's what I've noticed. Most people wear busy like a badge. They say it with pride. "I'm so busy. My schedule is insane. I don't have time for anything." And underneath all of that is a quiet belief that busy equals important. That if you're not busy, you're not valuable. But here's the truth. Busy people are not more productive than anyone else. They're just more overcommitted. And overcommitment is not a strategy. It is a trap. You're not managing your life. You're surviving it. And survival is not success. So let's break this down. Because if busy is a symptom, we need to understand what it's a symptom of and how to fix it. Which leads me to my first insight. Write this down. Busy is not a badge. It's proof you have lost control of your yes. That's right. Busy is playing life in failure mode. Think about this. When someone asks, "How are you?" and you say busy, what are you really saying? You're saying, "I have no margin. I have no space. I'm at capacity. I'm drowning." That's not a flex. That's a cry for help. Because we've been trained to think that busy is good. Busy is noble. That busy is what responsible people do. So we wear it like armor. And meanwhile, we're bleeding out behind it. Here's the truth. The most effective people I know are not busy. They are intentional. They have space. They have margin. They know what matters and they protect it. They say no to almost everything so that they can say yes to a few things that actually move the needle. That's not laziness. That's strategy. Because busy is not a strategy, it's failure mode. It's what happens when you lose the ability to prioritize. When everything feels urgent, nothing is important. Come to the front of the class. When everything feels urgent, nothing is important. And you end up spinning in place, exhausted and going nowhere. It used to be a flex. So I used to brag about being busy. I tell people, "Yeah, I'm juggling 6 projects right now." Like that made me impressive. But here's what I wasn't saying. I was dropping balls everywhere, spinning plates, showing up late, half-focused. I was doing everything at 60% capacity because I didn't have the bandwidth to do anything well. And the worst part, I thought that was normal. I thought that was just how high-capacity people lived. Trust me, it is not. High-capacity people protect their capacity. They don't overcommit. They commit to less so that they can deliver more. Okay. So if busyness is a failure mode, the next question is, why do we keep choosing it? Because if it's so bad, why do we keep saying yes to everything? Write this down. Most of your yeses are not about calling, they are about fear of what happens if you say no, which leads me to my second insight. You're saying yes to fear and not opportunity. Most people think they're overcommitted because they have too many opportunities. That's not true. You're overcommitted because you're afraid of what happens if you say no. Afraid you'll miss out, afraid you'll let someone down, afraid you'll be forgotten, afraid you'll prove you're not as important as you think. So you say yes to everything. Even when you don't have the bandwidth nor the capacity, even when you know it's going to cost you, because saying yes feels safer than saying no, but it's not. You know what it is? I call it slower suicide. Here's what changed for me. I stopped asking, can I do this? And start asking, should I do this? Because you can do a lot of things. You're capable, you're talented, you're high capacity. But just because you can doesn't mean that you should. And every time you say yes to something that's not aligned with your priorities, you're saying no to something that is. You're not managing opportunities. You're stealing from your future self. I had a moment last year when someone asked me to consult on a project, a good project, good people, good money. And my first instinct was, I can make this work. But then I asked myself, should I? And the answer was no, not because the project was bad, but because I was already at capacity. And adding one more thing would have taken bandwidth from the things I already committed to. So I said no. And you know what happened? Nothing. The world didn't end. They found someone else, and I showed up better to the things I already said yes to. That's the move. So here's the reality. Every yes costs something. It costs time, it costs energy, it costs focus. And most of us are saying yes without counting the cost. We're treating our capacity like it's unlimited, but it is not. You have a finite amount of bandwidth. And every time you say yes to something that doesn't serve your priorities, you are borrowing from something that does. Eventually, the bill comes due. And when it does, you'll realize you've been paying interest on commitments you never should have made. So let's bring this home. So now we know the problem. You're overcommitted because you're saying yes out of fear instead of strategy. The question is, what do you actually do about it? Which brings me to my final insight. Write this down. You are one deleted commitment away from proving you are not trapped by your calendar. That's right, the one decision calendar. Here's what I want you to do this week. Open your calendar. Look at everything on it and delete or decline one thing that does not serve your priorities. Just one. One thing that does not move the needle forward. Not everything, one. And by the end of the week, you'll have proof that you're not trapped, you're choosing. And once you prove that to yourself, you'll start choosing differently. I hear the questions reverberating through your mind. So how do I pick it? Here's how to pick what to remove. Ask yourself 3 questions. First, does this move my top 3 priorities forward? If no, it's a candidate. Second, would I say yes to this today if it was offered to me right now? If no, it's a candidate. And then third, am I saying yes out of obligation or conviction? If obligation, it's a candidate. Once you've identified that one thing, remove it. Send a decline. Cancel the meeting. Reschedule the commitment. And notice what happens. You'll feel lighter, not because you did less, but because you protected what matters. So let me go ahead and help you out. Here's what happens. The first time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, your brain will panic. It will tell you you're letting people down. It will tell you you're missing out. It will tell you you're being selfish. Ignore it. That's fear talking, not wisdom. And once you push through that first no, you'll realize something powerful. Saying no to the wrong thing is how you say yes to the right thing. You're not being selfish. You're being strategic. And strategic people protect their capacity like it's the most valuable thing they own, because it is. And here's the best part. Once you remove one thing, you'll start seeing other things that need to go. Wait, why am I still doing this? Why did I agree to this? Who said this was my responsibility? And slowly, you'll stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You'll stop saying yes to everything and start saying yes to the few things that actually matter, the things that move the needle. And your calendar will shift from a prison to a plan. That's when you know you've won. Let's step back and look at the big picture. This is not about doing less for the sake of doing less. This is about stewardship. God gave you a mission, a calling, work that only you can do. And the question is, are you protecting the bandwidth to do the work, or are you bleeding it out on things that don't matter? Because busy people are not doing more of what matters. They're just doing more. And more is not the goal. Impact is. And impact requires focus. And focus requires saying no a lot. So let me land the plane. Busy is not a badge, it's a symptom of overcommitment. And overcommitment is not a strategy, it's failure mode. It's what happens when you say yes to everything and no to nothing. But here's the good news. You're not stuck, you're choosing. And if you're choosing wrong, you can choose differently. It starts with one thing, one commitment you remove, one thing you say no to, and that one no will prove to you that you're not trapped by your calendar. You're in control of it. So stop saying you're busy. You're not busy. You're overcommitted, and overcommitment is a choice. So I challenge you, choose better. I want to know what you removed from your calendar this week. What's the one thing you said no to? And how did it feel? Drop it in the comments wherever you're listening. Send me a note on all social media platforms. I read everything, and I genuinely want to know how this works for you. And if this landed, hit subscribe. I'm dropping a new episode every Tuesday around these kinds of shifts, the invisible decisions that change how you work, lead, and live. Thank you for sticking with me. This has been the Self-Leadership in the Attention Economy series. 6 episodes, 6 shifts. If you missed any of them, go back and listen. Your phone is not the problem. Decision fatigue is stealing your best hours. Focus is not a mood, and a few others. They're designed to work together to give you your attention back, one decision at a time. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you the next time.
You've been listening to the Clarence Stowers Leadership Podcast. Join us next time for more insights on becoming 1% better each day and leveling up in all areas of life.